What's up, everyone? Jeremy, the quartering here, still over on my games channel on Sleeve Media as I try and rearrange the quartering. So we've got part 2 of the many Ubisoft leaks that have now been coming into my inbox fast and furiously, and a correction from part 1, which will be linked in the description below if you missed it, is that not all of these presentations represent each individual studio. So know that like Montreal and Toronto are not the same. There are many locations for Ubisoft, and I had several folks from different locations reach out to say that they had never seen any of this and that it wasn't part of their particular building's training. Now, that doesn't mean it isn't on the way. Based on the public statements Ubisoft has made, I would say that it's coming, boys and girls. So now we have one thing I want to go over today is a large file. I can't share all of it because it does include some people's names and stuff like that. And I don't want people to take heat unfairly. But this is a presentation on diversity, inclusion, and belonging from July earlier this year. And on the first slide, we've kind of got basic stuff. Definition of diversity is the presence of a wide range of human qualities and attributes within an individual, group, or organization. Diversity includes such factors as age, sex, race, ethnicity, physical, intellectual ability, religion, sexual orientation, educational background, expertise. Definitely not things like military status, which is one of the things protected by the Constitution. But if you look at, for example, based on the locations, based on who's on the Diversity and Inclusion Committee, which I thought about, and I'm not going to show them. Just know that it's exactly what you would expect. They're talking about act as a DIB studio champions. That's diversity, inclusion, and belonging. They've partnered with a university, OCAD University, which is a far left university, liberal university, and they're working on different things now. They've partnered with university to get woke. And we're going to get to more of the meat, but there's just some stuff I have to be kind of careful about. So you've got in situ, diversity, inclusion, and belonging, OCAD introduction. Now, who is the OCAD team? Now, I'm going to quick snip just faces so you don't see, I don't want to get anybody in any weirdness. But this one, I think, is relevant in terms of who's on the team. So we have a design researcher and strategist. We have another design researcher and strategist. We have an associate professor, and then we have an associate professor in game design. Now, this is the team helping Ubisoft with diversity, inclusion, and belonging. So you know that this team is going to be super diverse, wouldn't you think? It should have a little bit of everything. Oh wait, nope, it's all women. Very diverse selection of women, Ubisoft. I mean, that is, I don't know, this stuff is passed on to employees, and I don't really know. At companies I've worked at, I got HR crap all the time, and I never really read it. But this report, over 30 slides, contains a lot of misinformation, a lot of propaganda, a lot of indoctrination. I said it right this time. I read the comments. And I want to share some of what they're force-feeding their employees. So we have in situ approaches to building diversity. In-game development is a research project examining the opportunities around impact of internal and external effects aimed at creating a diverse and inclusive work culture for people who identify as women in the game development industry. Funded by REFIG, an international network of researchers and industry leaders committed to promoting diversity. Well, only when it comes to women, of course. This is not diversity across the spectrum. This is also not diversity of thought, not diversity of thought. This is just woman. Make no mistake about it. So we talk about some other things. Timeline of the OCAD research project. The research insights from an environmental scan and ethnographic interviews at Ubisoft Toronto will provide context to the primary research question and will inform development of inclusivity, diversity, and belonging task forces and programmatic initiatives that Ubisoft Toronto due to launch in summer of 2018. Now, some of my insiders told me that many people's salaries at Ubisoft are actually subsidized by the Canadian government. This is a theory I have. I don't know if this is true. But given the Trudeau effect, one wonders if this workforce must be certain levels of diverse, must have certain levels of women in it in order to get their government kickbacks. This is just a theory. I don't know. I guarantee you someone in the comments or an anonymous tipster to watsyeskforthis@gmail.com will probably tell me. A secondary phase of the project will evaluate the efficiency and impact of the task force programs through developmental evaluation. So basically, we're working together with the university. We want to establish certain quotas, it would seem like, and we want to go through fake news, fake information, pseudoscience, like unconscious bias training. We have, where is the industry now? The representational gap in gaming. The industry is post-Gamergate, as we talked about yesterday. Not just a lack of diversity, but the presence of a toxic culture in gaming is now widely acknowledged. We know that stereotypes in video games exist, of course, according to Anita Sarkeesian's 4 videos. We have a bottom-up resistance between developers and gamers, and there's a demand for transparency and accountability in each tech sector. We talked about this slide yesterday as well. The gender diversity numbers perpetrated by this report that is disseminated amongst Ubisoft employees is absurd. They say that 37% of Canadians define themselves as gamers, but 52% of them haven't played a game in over a month. So let me be clear, if you haven't played a game in a month, you're probably not a gamer. They also say that 47% of game players in Canada are women, including showing a absurd 46% of gamers across 13 countries are women. This is, of course, untrue. Now, they may be including puzzle games or mobile games here, and I would believe that would push the higher overall rate of female gamers higher. For example, my girl has never played a PC game or a console game, I don't think. But she does play Candy Crush and these toilet time waster games. But the thing is, Ubisoft isn't in the market of creating those games. I could see looking at the female gamers if you're making Candy Crush, but that's really not what Ubisoft does. We talk about gender representation among game developers is still heavily weighted towards men. It couldn't be because men and women make different choices, of course. It's that sexism. In Ontario, a quarter or 25% of employees are half women. Half of the companies, 51%, employ proportionately fewer than this average, the average of 25%. Of the developers that responded to International Game Developers Association, 23% of them identified as female. See, this is something that you hear me talk about all the time, all right? To say that there is a set percentage that you are trying to achieve implies that there is a correct percentage of females or males in any given space, right? So what is the correct percentage of female garbage workers? What is the correct percentage of female masons? What is the correct percentage of female bricklayers or pipe fitters, right? There isn't one. It's, are you interested and are you qualified? The correct percentage of whatever sex or color it is irrelevant. It's just about hiring the best person for the best job. And you can see they're using survey data from people who have very specific opinions on the gaming industry, including things that lead to its negative. Only 7% of people responded saying that they don't think there is a negative perception of the game industry. This is people that work in the game industry. 93% of them found reasons to view their profession or the industry negatively. The overwhelming majority of them selected sexism among gamers in games, perceived links to violence, racism among gamers. Where is that even coming from? Sexism in the workforce, lack of overall diversity, racism in games or in the workforce. These developers paint an awfully bleak picture of not just the video games development world, but video games as a whole. Now, here is some hilarious propaganda fed to the employees at Ubisoft. Diversity makes teams smarter and more innovative. Now, let's cherry pick four reports for you to sell that. More innovative products. Companies that are more diverse announce an average of 2 extra products in any given year, which about doubles the average for a major company. Okay, so what? We don't know that A, more is any better, and we don't know that B, these new products are any good, and we don't know that C, anybody wants these products. So the idea that you're announcing new products means nothing. Consistently innovative. Most innovative companies are 4 times more likely to be highly inclusive than those with sporadic innovation, according to some study from almost 5 years ago. Now, that, of course, is a ultra dilution of a point raised in these topics. We don't know that there's actually any correlation between diversity and innovation whatsoever. Then we have, hilariously, focus more on facts. Employees become more aware of their own potential bias, entrenched ways of thinking that can otherwise blind them to key information and even lead them to make errors in decision making. And you have diverse groups diverse groups do outperform homogeneous groups because diversity triggered more careful information processing, according to one single report from 8 years ago. I guarantee you that was easily debunked. The idea that having 3 different skin colors on a team automatically makes it more effective than one with all the same colors is absolutely absurd. If you put a mentally handicapped white person, a genius IQ black person, and a baby Asian on a team, they're not going to outperform 3 industry veterans. That's just not how it works. You also go how they talk about how it can help you land and retain the best talent. Employees are more proud. When employees think their organization is committed to and supportive of diversity and they feel included, employees report better business performance in terms of ability to innovate. So this is a nebulous terms. What is your ability to innovate? Do you find your ability to innovate? Well, what you think is innovative isn't necessarily innovative at all. You could just be really stupid. You could be uneducated. You could be innovating in your own mind, things that have been done and done better for years. When employees think that their organization is committed to diversity, it just means they think they're committed to diversity. And they also claim to have this halo effect. 83% uplift responsiveness to changing to customer needs, 31% uplift, and team collaboration, 42% uplift. They only include these uplift pieces of data, but we don't know what they were before. We don't know what other organizational changes were made. We don't know how big the study was. We don't know anything. We just know that they cherry-picked these random uplift numbers to try and sell their garbage. Halo effect. More diverse companies have a halo effect. That makes it more attractive not only to women and minorities, but also people who are not women or minorities, who want to work for more enlightened organizations. That's right, folks. Look, I've been out on my own for almost 10 years now running my own business, but I worked plenty of places before that, and I can tell you, I have never looked to see if a company I was applying for a job at had this rhetoric about being diverse. I've never looked at pictures of the board members to see if there's enough men, women, and children on the board. I don't care. Nobody cares. You know how people really apply for a job? They have a field that they're interested in most cases. Sometimes you're just trying to get a job and it doesn't matter. But if you're in the position to apply for a career and you have time to apply, you have a niche that you want to work in, you look at a range of salaries, and then you look for an opening. You don't look at diversity. That's probably number 50 on your list, because if you get a job doing what you love at a place that's reasonable to drive to from your home at a salary that's at or above expectations, I guarantee you that's good enough for 99.9% of all applicants worldwide. You have a positive impact on recruitment. 71% of employees say that they had adopted diversity practices, said they were having a positive impact on their recruitment efforts. You know why that is? It's because all of this sort of thing is driven by HR. All these efforts are always driven by HR, which is generally women because of the choices they make in college. And of course, they're going to say the effects that they hung their hat on, the things that they're pushing are being positive. Imagine that. And we also have Brewer's 1991 optimal distinctiveness theory states that people experience a fundamental need to feel connected to others, so as to be accepted and to belong. But they also feel like they stand out for their own unique qualities. Inclusion exists when individuals' simultaneous needs for belonging and uniqueness can both be satisfied. Sure, maybe none of these things really matter to people wanting to work in video games, but this seems important. Now, I want to finish with, I know I've been talking a lot, but we have Riot Games as a case study here. Diversity is front and center for Riot Games, an American game developer. With 2,500 employees, diversity and inclusion are priorities in the organization and in game design. Again, these people subscribe to the religion of identity politics, of social justice, and I'm telling you, they don't just want to brainwash their employees, they want to do it to their customers too. We talk about, however, their biggest game, League of Legends, has a reputation for toxic in-game behavior. They've overhauled their recruiting, job descriptions, bias training, which is pseudoscience, and education for interviews, talent development, perform management, and career progression. They educate their leaders, educating leaders and managers about unconscious bias. They have to empower their employees. Rider resources groups that empower women, LGBTQ, LMNOP people with disabilities, people of color. And of course, they have cross-functional teams. Gotta have that. You have researching toxicity in gaming. This is another buzzword, of course. Use game toxicity research to understand workplace toxicity. Riot discovered that there was a correlation between in-game and Riot toxicity. Their talent team partnered with their game designers to use in-game information as a signal, a dog whistle, During the hiring process, we talk about getting ahead of the trends with diversity and inclusion. Transparency leads to accountability. That means these companies, Google, Facebook, Microsoft, Apple, they're all publishing their diversity numbers. What they're saying is you should report so we can watch you and we can judge you and we can tell you what percentages are the correct amount. You must engage employees from within. You must support the pipeline and reveal pathways to success. Sure. And you have the next couple of phases. Again, this is a partnership with a college. So, of course, they have a long phase, a multi-pronged effect, because they want to continue to get paid or continue to get the benefits. Understanding the challenges, barriers, and enablers, an environment of diversity, inclusivity, and belonging for people who identify as women in Ubisoft Toronto. Deepen the research around efficacy of initiatives, practices, and policies around building an inclusive work culture within the gaming industry. Right. Promote team environments where all members feel empowered to contribute. That's good. Create a safer space for all to work in a positive environment. Lay the foundation for a representative talent pool at Ubisoft Toronto. Make the video game industry a more inclusive environment for underrepresented groups. You can see we want to change a little bit, and then we want to hit the whole video game industry. Well, I had to go back and cut out. There's a couple names shown there, but as you can see, this research is built on citing places like Kotaku, Polygon, Anita Sarkeesian. They're using this to not only mold their hiring practices, as you can see now with their relationship with the university, they're using it to mold their in-game experience, and they have a bigger vision to use these same tools to mold you, the consumer and gamer, in the light that they want. They want you to conform to their own world view. Pretty disgusting stuff. The idea that Ubisoft is wasting any time or money on this is crazy to me. I don't know if it's tax related. At least that I could understand. We've got probably a third part coming up tomorrow. We've got phone calls. We've got more pictures. We've got all sorts of stuff. So you're going to want to stick around. Make sure you catch part 1. Hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.